Around the time the Fed was conducting its emergency intervention this last Sunday, Goldman Sachs was holding an emergency conference call. About clients and companies dialed in for the conference. So let me bring you some brief highlights of the call. The call was primarily about the coronavirus and the market impact. Hopefully, this information will give you a better handle on the situation because the more useful and timely you get information, the better you can incorporate it into your decisions and the better the edge you will have in your investing. So let's begin. First, Goldman believes about 50% of Americans will contract the virus, which would be about 150 million people. Secondly, 70% of Germany will contract it, which will be about 58 million people. Third, peak virus is expected over the next 8 weeks and then declining thereafter. Fourth, the virus appears to be concentrated in the region that lies between 30 and 50 degrees north latitude. This means that it prefers cold weather. The coming spring and summer seasons should help. Fifth, of those impacted, about 80% will be early stage, about 15% will be mid stage, and about 5% will be critical stage. Now, early stage symptoms are like the common cold, and mid stage symptoms are like the flu. So essentially, one would stay at home for 2 weeks and rest, but 5% will be critical and highly weighted toward the elderly. Six, the mortality rate on average is up to about 2% and is heavily weighted towards the elderly and those with immunity issues. Seventh, China's economy will be impacted the most and has affected raw materials and the global supply chain. It may take up to 6 months for it to recover. Eighth, global GDP growth rate will be around positive 2%. Ninth, the S&P 500 will see a negative growth rate of about negative 15% to negative 20% for 2020 overall. 10th, there will be economic damage. The real damage, though, is mostly market psychology. The stock market should fully recover in the second half of the year. 11th, on a technical basis, the market has generally been looking for a reason to reset after the long bull market history. Coronavirus was the reason. And lastly, and perhaps most importantly, Goldman Sachs believes there is no systemic risk. Governments are intervening in the markets in order to stabilize them. The private banking sector is well capitalized. Goldman believes it's more like 9/11 than the great financial crisis of 2008 to 2009. So hopefully this information will help you in your investing decisions. And for today, that's ChewDog Charts. Thank you.